Welcome, everybody. How is it going? It is September 3rd, 2025. This is RambleCast. I'm your host, Cody Toombs, and I've got with me Corbin Davenport.
Hello.
So, I see the room is already full. I'm glad to see everybody here. So, I believe last week went pretty well, so you know what? We're doing it again. It's the news, everybody. Oh boy. So we're going to start off with some AI news. Switzerland has launched its own AI model. Yes, the country of Switzerland. It was built from the ground up to be fully open source, including the software and training process and all of the data. The model is named Apparatus, which is a Latin word for open. When asked for comment, Sam Altman began waving his arms wildly and insisting he owns the trademark for any variation of the word open, and then said that's what Steve Jobs would do. The model is available for download in two flavors, either with 8 billion or 70 billion parameters. And, well, what else are you going to do? You got to go 70 billion, of course. Also in AI news, earlier this week, Meta was caught hosting numerous AI chatbots. Oops, wait. Oh, hey, that got put in the wrong order. All right, hey. So Meta was caught hosting numerous AI chatbots designed to resemble many different celebrities, both in name and likeness, without their permission. These included names such as Taylor Swift, Selena Gomez, and Scarlett Johansson. With minimal prompting, the chatbots easily slipped into modes where they had intimate conversations with minors, produced AI-generated images and suggestive poses with minimal clothing or coverage, and even offered suggestions for ways to carry out self-harm. A Meta spokesperson told Reuters that the celebrity bots were only created for testing purposes, despite being widely available to the general public. Shortly after the news came to light, Hawk-Tuah girl Haley Welch made contact with Mark Zuckerberg to argue a case for why she shouldn't be left out. And in future entertainment news, there's Hawk-Tuah girl. I'm hitting too many buttons and forgetting to do things at the right speed. Anyway, in future entertainment news, Dolby announces Dolby Vision 2, promising to expand picture quality beyond HDR. Some of the new features will include Precision Black, which helps scenes that are too dark, Light Sense, which aims to adjust for ambient light in your environment, and new modes for sports and games that will make adjustments to the white point and motion rendering. The company went on to explain it's using the most advanced technology to develop even more settings that users will instantly disable when setting up a new TV. All right. Not my best Colbert. I'm aiming a little bit more for oh wow, I said his name just last week, and I'm Seth Meyers. I'm trying a little more for Seth Meyers there. All right. Anyway, so that is the news.
Wow.
Ty is done.
I've been let back in now. I can go back in the house.
Yes. Corbin is back. So Corbin, what do you think of that?
It was news. I feel informed.
Yay. At some point, I will start dragging you into these, possibly.
Oh, good.
If you want to. Well, this is an optional thing.
I absolutely do not own a tie, by the way. I don't think that's ever happened.
Understandable.
I definitely had a dress shirt at one point, but that would have been for my high school graduation, and that's about 2 shirt sizes ago. So
understandable.
That's long gone now. That's been donated at some point.
Oh, let's see. Austin. Cody owns more ties than he would have expected. You've seen 2.
So I know we're going to talk about events first, but I am going to put in surprise event Techathon. Techathon. Go to techathon.live and follow the Twitch channel and all that fun stuff. Techathon is still on. My behind the scenes. Okay, so I guess I should say again what it is. It is a charity live stream on September 27th, 2025. It will be a 12-hour live stream. It was going to be longer, but we just that couldn't. It wasn't going to work. We don't have enough people for that. So it will be 12 hours. I believe starting at 11 a.m. Eastern or 10, and then ending at 10 or 11 Eastern. I'm not sure exactly which. My brain's really fried this week. So hopefully at least most of this will be coherent. But the live stream is on. My behind the scenes update is that we have the schedule pretty much done. I'm waiting on one person to reply to my email. Everyone else is already locked in. And yeah, it should be a fun time. So please go follow the Twitch channel, or set a reminder on your service of choice to go to that website on the 27th and watch it and help us hit our fundraising goal for Doctors Without Borders. That's my spiel.
So let's see.
And Cody will be there for probably a lot of it.
Yeah. I should be a little bit later in the stream, I think.
Good question.
I know you told me, but it wasn't entirely clear if that was sticking. And also I don't remember. So I'd have to go look back at the conversation.
Yeah, you're not until 3 p.m., I think. Oh, I tried typing your name and it typed body. Yeah, your earliest block here is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So yeah, hopefully the schedule will be fully done soon. It'll be posted on that website. So if you can't be around for the entire 12 hours and you want to prioritize the segments that you care about, it will hopefully be easy. But it's going to be a mix of discussion stuff kind of in this format, and Overwatch and Jackbox and Fall Guys and a couple other games. So should hopefully be a fun time.
I need to become a beanie model. All right. So excellent. Looking forward to it. It should be fun. Yeah, that about says it. It should be fun. Hopefully it will be fun. Hopefully it will also profit Doctors Without Borders, because let's be honest, medical care of any kind for anyone is wow, kind of needed right now. Alyssa, hopefully Fall Guys is not dead. If it is, I'm sure we will find something else to play. But
I mean, yeah, I'll be honest, I haven't opened it in a couple months. I'm assuming there's still enough people playing it. I briefly checked Twitch. There were people streaming it. I know Twitch now doesn't do they do sort of their own algorithmic sorting when you go to a page for a game. Now it's not most streamers to least anymore, but there's still a chance we could be like in the top streamers for Fall Guys during it, depending on how many people we get watching the stream, which I am working on some shenanigans to get us as many concurrent streams as possible. Not actual bots, but I'm just going to be really aggressive. I'm hopefully going to have the stream embedded on my website, the Spacebar, hopefully on the Link Cleaner web app, I'm bullying one or two other people into adding it. So hopefully we'll get a lot of people watching and boost those stats.
Indeed, and sadly, we aren't going to get one Southern person on there, but it would be hilarious if he were to join. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But at least he should be embedding the stream.
Yeah. So moving on to other events. Apple confirmed that the iPhone 17 event will be September 9th.
Yeah,
is
so the actual confirmation and news about the announcement, that's not particularly new. The reason I included this one in our list is actually just because it's going to be next week. And so basically this is kind of the our one and only chance to highlight what we expect is coming, or we could just obviously crib from the article on Engadget or wherever, because let's be honest, everybody knows what's coming. It's going to be the iPhone Air, almost guaranteed. It's going to be obviously iPhone 17, iPhone 17 Pro, Pro Max. Hey, correct me if I'm wrong. Was there not? I believe there was rumors of new AirPods. Yeah, AirPods Pro 3 is a possibility, and I think Apple Watch was also supposed to show up. That's likely it.
Yeah, I know the AirPods was something that was rumored to show up, I think, last year, and then it got pushed, allegedly.
Yeah.
But Alyssa said Corbin going full millennial with iced coffee. No, this is just a Coke. I just ate, so I have some left. Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be a boring one, because really most of them are boring because all these updates are iterative, but not even iterative in the useful way of, we can all use our iPhone 16 cases again. They're gonna move around the cameras again for no reason. I am curious how the whole iPhone Air thing will go, just because Samsung sort of preempted it, and they did their Galaxy S25 Edge. I think it was the Edge. I don't remember what it was called, and it was, it's my job to keep track of this, and that just came and went. without much impact, and it's gone on roughly the same discounts as all of the other S25 phones, so I don't know if it's really done better or worse than Samsung predicted, but definitely didn't really that was just kind of what everyone expected. It was it's an S25 phone that is thinner and has worse battery life, and that's kind of what we all anticipated. So I don't know if Apple will somehow manage to make people excited over their version of this. It depends on, Samsung maybe played it a little bit more conservatively than they could have, where they didn't drop the battery life. They didn't make it as possibly thin as they could have. They could have made it much thinner, made the battery life much worse, and we'll have to see where Apple decides to go with that. But I don't think it's going to be impactful, I guess is the word I would use.
Well, it's my hunch. I don't actually know if this will be the case, but I'm just guessing. I have a funny feeling that the iPhone Air is probably not going to have MagSafe. And if I'm right about that, then I think no one is really going to be super... I mean, people will want it. There are people who are going to care about it. But I think overall, the only way people are going to get really amped up on it is basically if it's an iPhone with, I'm not going to say no compromises, but minimal compromises. If the compromise is just basically it gets worse battery life and maybe lacks a couple of features that people don't really need to care about, like the action button, is that what it was called? I might be forgetting. Anyway, if that's the case, I think people will get really jazzed about it. If they have to sacrifice MagSafe, if they have to sacrifice a few of the other things that people actually do value, if the cameras take a noticeable drop in quality, if any of these things happen, I think that I don't think this phone is dead in the water. I just think it's going to lose a lot of attention. It's going to be that thing that people just look at and say, yep, that's the also ran. They did it. They did it for bragging rights to say that they made the skinny phone. And they're going to, and it's just not going to, it's going to be the darling for 15 minutes and then it's going to be completely forgotten. And until, of course, until somebody comes along and does the first brake test, because obviously that phone is going to bend and snap like a twig.
Yeah, what would be really funny is if this ends up being, if it gets into the same situation as the iPhone SE phones, where there's like a handful of people who really care about this, and then they have to hold on for years in hopes of a new one coming out. That would be kind of funny.
I'm gonna feel so sorry for them. Also, I honestly, I'm really curious if with a phone that no matter what is going to have to make some compromises, is the price still going to be really high, or is the price also going to go down relative to the compromises? If it's not priced closer, it doesn't have to be as cheap as like an iPhone SE, but if it's not close to that, I think it's a problem. So again, that's a big fat we'll see there.
Yeah.
And it is a possibility that this basically replaces the iPhone SE. If that's the case, honestly, I think that's maybe not the best choice, but it is a choice. It could work, and I won't necessarily criticize it until we see what that looks like.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of different ways that this could go. I'm sure they'll price it at least as much as the base Pro, honestly. Maybe the Pro Max will be more expensive, but I don't think they'd price it like the base iPhone. It's gonna be a similar situation as like Samsung's folding phones, where yes, they are compromised in most ways, but it's like still a futuristic technology that you have to pay another 300, 400, 500 for.
Yeah, I have this weird feeling that if they do try that, it's going to be a very short-lived model.
Yeah.
Like just straight up, I think it'll happen once, maybe twice, and then it'll end up getting axed. But hey, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong.
I have to step off for like 2 minutes. I'll be back.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'll briefly go on to say also the iPhone 17 and 17 Pro are coming. Last I heard, and I don't have a lot of information coming in on this right now, but last I heard, there's not a lot in the way of like news for the cameras. I'm sure there will be some sort of update or improvement, but there's not a lot in the way of like, oh my god, they're adding a new cinematic mode, or they're adding a new this or new that. Those things seem to kind of have faded out this year, at least as far as I can tell. So the expectations are that they're going to probably upgrade the standard iPhone's display, so it would also get promotion. There are obviously expectations for some of the AI features that they're going to someday have, maybe, kind of, could happen. And for better or worse, they're obviously going to talk about liquid glass again, which, oh boy, can this just not be a thing? I'm honestly, at this stage, I'm kind of wondering what they're going to have to really incentivize people to go for the Pro phone, because I'm not sure that they really have that this year. Obviously, besides the typical Pro phone advantages, I'm kind of expecting, unless there's some big surprise coming, I'm kind of expecting maybe the Pro might actually be less of a gap between the regular and the Pro than usual. So let's see. Looking at chat. All right. Oh, Alyssa, you've been chatting more than Diablo and he's number 2. Spam protection? I don't know. I have no idea how this system works. Because I've seen tons of Alyssa's comments. I don't think you're getting filtered. Anyway. AI cameras. Oh, I can't imagine. Genuinely, I don't think AI cameras will be a thing. I wonder if chatting has nothing to do with it, and maybe it's just whoever is detected is watching the stream more. Who knows? I can only guess how YouTube handles things. Let's see. Windows Arrow, you mean? I mean, it kind of is, yeah. Oh, does the XP have spam protection? I have no idea. They don't tell us any of this stuff. They just roll things out. Remember, it was a surprise to me when XP was a thing. And I still kind of wish I could turn it off, just because the chat interface, those XP or the ranking markers take so much space, and they don't really need to. Like, at the very least, they could be made smaller. But whatever. Anyway. So, the phones, outside of the Air, I'm really not expecting anything too exciting. Watches, I feel like they kind of also blew their load last year, but who knows? The watch is something that they could always surprise people with, because there's a lot of possibilities for things that they can still roll out to the watches. And if there are AirPods Pro, we'll see. That's I don't even know what they would add or include or upgrade. And I personally don't care, but it'll be interesting if they do. And Alyssa, you keep bringing up the Apple TV 4K. I would almost put money on it. It will not be part of this event. They will save it for the October event, where they will very certainly be launching some new Macs. And I think they will just start with an Apple TV. Basically, here's our new shows. Here's, if they have new hardware, they'll show off the new hardware, and that'll be the last we hear of it during that event. I think it'll be quick, because I don't think they're doing a lot with Apple TV. The hardware. The service, subscription, and content, they may be doing plenty, but the hardware, I think they're not going to really touch.
Yeah, I mean, they could put a new A-series chip in it, but like it's a TV box, and I don't think they're still not really trying all that hard to sell it as a light games console. So I don't think that's necessary.
Yeah.
And yeah, I also don't really know what they would put in a new AirPods, because I do have the current. If you can hear a squeaker, that's my mom's puppy. But I do have the current AirPods 2, which I got because I was waiting and waiting and waiting for USB-C regular AirPods, and Apple was dragging its feet. So I was like, okay, I'll try these, even though I've had really bad luck with in-ear earbuds, and they've been pretty good with the extra small ear tip. But yeah, like they have USB-C, they have Find My, they have ANC and all that fun stuff. So I don't know what else needs to be in here, but I'm sure they'll find something to justify a new model. Something AI related, maybe, just for fun.
Possibly. But speaking of AI and other events, Google is planning a announcement for October 1st. It will somehow involve Gemini and smart home. This will apparently be, for one, I think everybody already knows this and expects this. They're going to be replacing Google Assistant officially with Gemini for Home. And beyond that, it's a little unclear what their specific plans are going to be. If they're going to involve subscriptions, if it's going to have extra features that like actual extra features, or is it just going to be, hey, your assistant can talk to you a little bit better than it could before and now makes things up just as a feature. And obviously, how will this impact various home products? This will include obviously smart displays, but could also include cameras.
Yeah, I can't wait to get
they
like gaslit by a smart speaker. I'm like, can you turn off the kitchen lights? It's like, you don't have kitchen lights. And I'm like, yes, I do have kitchen lights. They're like, oh, I'm sorry, you're right, you do have kitchen lights. I'll turn them off. And then it does a web search.
I mean, for what it's worth, Google Assistant is actually literally gaslighting me these days. Every time that I say, I tell it to turn on my Shield and to launch the Plex app, it comes back saying, your Shield can't do that. BS, yes, it absolutely, first off, it can be turned on, and if I just tell that part, it'll happily do it. But launching the Plex app, it insists the Shield can't do that, which is weird because I've only been doing that for the last, like, 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Stop gaslighting me. You can do it. I know you're smart enough. Google, you have the power. Literally. So
That's surprising they would do a dedicated Gemini event when I think every event they've done for the last 2 years has been a dedicated Gemini event.
That's a fair point. I'm going to predict that this is not actually truly a dedicated Gemini event so much as it is circling back to actually hit the Nest products, because those have kind of been languishing. I know that they did a hardware update to something earlier this year, I'm pretty sure. And so, you know, they haven't completely ignored them, but they also have multiple devices that are, I think, multiple years out since their last updates. So it wouldn't be a bad time to refresh the hardware, and along with that, basically say, hey, you buy the new hardware, you also get this cool, super awesome Gemini feature for 6 months or a year or whatever, and then you can start paying us, and we'll announce pricing then.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of information here. We don't have a lot to go on. I'm sure something will probably leak in the process, because this is a month away. The event's already scheduled. I wouldn't be surprised if they've already shot. Well, will this be live or pre-shot? I wonder. Probably live. It seems like Google's fully back on the live train. But, welcome back. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is live or pre-recorded. We'll see. But either way, I have a feeling they already know exactly what they're announcing. It's all probably ready and set to go. Also, I do wonder a little bit. I know that this is focused on smart home, but I wonder if they're going to talk at all about, like, Gemini in the car. Because that's one I'm a little curious about. Honestly, I think I want to hear more about that than I want to hear about their smart home plans.
Oh, so we almost lost Corbin. No, my Google Meet is like barely working, and I don't know why. So I'm just refreshing every once in a while.
It kind of raising the suspicion that maybe it was your internet that was causing weirdness earlier.
I don't know, because I was doing speed tests and stuff, and they're all perfect, but I was having random buffering issues with a couple websites. I don't know, some DNS somewhere is messed up. That's usually what happens here.
That makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, I don't really have any thoughts on this. I don't have any Google Nest stuff. I have Nest speakers and the original Google Home speaker, but I haven't really used them in forever because I just have my iPhone on a stand at my bed now, and that's good enough. So
fair enough.
That's my hot take.
All right, so let's see. Well, while we're on the subject of, how did I just screw up that word? While we're on the subject of Google, let's talk a little bit about the latest Pixel drop.
Yes, Google had some Android news today. One of them was a Pixel drop update that is supposed to finally bring Material 3 to older Pixel devices. So they say it's shipping to Pixel 6 and newer, as well as the Pixel tablet. So this was kind of the weird thing with the release of Android 15. Is that the one that was this year, or 16?
16.
16. Okay, so that was the weird thing with Android 16, where the main selling point from the user's perspective was, oh, we gave it a refreshed design. That's what they talked about at Google I/O. And then when the update came out, it actually didn't have that. That part wasn't ready. So now that's supposedly done, and that's coming to all Pixel devices. So they showed off in this screenshot, or in this blog post, a few screenshots of how the phone calling interface looks different now, and the lock screen and the notification panel on phones and large screens. So yeah, it's mostly just the material update, and they also mentioned that because they sort of lump in all Pixel devices with this update cadence, they're also releasing an update for the Pixel Buds Pro 2 that adds adaptive audio. So if you're listening to a podcast and like someone tries to talk to you, it'll lower it for a second. Yeah, pretty nifty. And Alyssa said Android 15 was the last Android version to the Pixel 6. It's just getting 2 more years. Yeah. So they don't get the fancy operating system design improvements because they don't get OS updates anymore. But I'm assuming those older devices will still see something because of all the apps and components that are updated through Play services in the Play Store. So if your favorite app gets a Material 3 update, it'll probably show up on some devices on older versions.
Indeed. So I gotta say, I find it a little bit amusing that they're making a point of releasing this as part of a Pixel drop, but sure, why not? Wow, why did I just get a notification for that? Okay, that's a strange one. All right, otherwise, like, this feels like, as pixel drops go, I know that this one's technically making a big visual change, but otherwise the feature list is really unimpressive. There's very little to speak of on this one, so kind of not that big of a pixel drop, or at least for anybody who isn't as interested in Material 3 as I think Google is. Which, maybe I'm wrong, but I suspect that's probably a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean I'm still not really in the Android ecosystem, so I'm not keeping an eye out for all my apps to see them adopt Material 3. Instead, I get to await with horror to see what happens to the apps on my phone with Liquid Glass. So that's going to be fun for me.
Genuine question. Setting aside all of the ecosystem stuff, setting aside all of like whatever features and other things, the functional side of it, based on what you've seen of Liquid Glass and based on what you've seen of Material 3, only based on those, would you be tempted to go back to Android in a few months if things go the way that they seem to keep going?
I mean, I'm not super duper tied down on iPhone, just because at this point they're very similar, and they have most of the same apps, so it wouldn't really be a big deal for me to switch back. I'm assuming that whatever ships of Liquid Glass, especially after the, customary 0.1 update to iOS, will be fine. It might be slightly worse, but I don't imagine it would be so awful that I feel the need to sell my phone and buy a new one. Granted, it is adding on top of the reasons why iOS is behind Android. Like once again, Apple has gone an entire year without fixing notifications on iPhone. I'm just asking them to copy Android from like exactly 8 years ago. But I'm assuming it will be acceptable in the same way that the macOS update. Like, I'm not gonna like it, but it's like whatever. I'll get used to it.
Fair enough. All right. Let's see. So, shifting gears just a bit. There was also an Android update to speak of. And you know the news on that.
Yes. So this was the other part of Google's announcement. They were rolling out some updates for their apps on all Android devices. So they, of course, have more AI stuff in Gboard. It has similar writing tools that you've seen on Gemini on desktop platforms and Google Docs, and in the writing tools on Apple devices. Just the same stuff that like I have zero interest in. That's just, you write stuff and it can rephrase it in different ways. They show their demonstration they're showing is like just in Google Messages, and I really cannot fathom. Like, this is just such a weird mindset to be like, I need to carefully craft my message to a person I am texting. It's just, I know there's like, times where you want to be careful with your language when you're talking to anyone on any through any medium, but it's just weird to me. Please continue talking like humans. That's my advice. You don't need the computer to talk for you. I believe in each and every one of you who's watching. You can communicate your ideas with your big boy, girl, or non-binary brain.
I think back to how touchy a few people have been in the past, and I don't know. I probably still would not have used this, but there are a few people I could, like, looking back, I could see maybe it would have been a good idea to use this with them if I had it at the time. I'm not saying I would have, but man, there were a few people.
I would definitely do this to annoy someone. If I had a friend who I just started sending every message after it goes through the like talk like a pirate filter, where someone's like, Corbin, are you showing up at 8 or 9? And I'm like, yar matey, my ship is rolling in. They're like, shut the fuck up, Corbin. What time? That would be fun. That it would be very similar to a group DM I had going on LinkedIn for a while, where we all just pressed the first AI response after a message came through. That was kind of fun. I'm gonna be honest. So that's maybe a good use for that.
Okay. It's occurring to me that I can think of one really fun use for this. Well, fun for the user, not fun for anyone else. But somebody that you're trying to annoy, just reply to them, but it like your answer is supposed to be, I don't know, let's say a yes. And you just tell this thing, write the longest possible message that eventually answers yes, but obscures it as much as possible.
Yeah.
That way you send somebody like a dialogue, like a short speech, also you can eventually answer, yeah, I want a bagel for lunch. Like
yeah, that's coming in the next update. There's a little button that says rewrite in the form of the information. And I'll take care of that for you.
Oh boy. That hits home.
Yeah, and the other stuff is there's more emoji kitchen updates. So that's the thing where you can combine different emoji in Gboard. That's kind of fun. I'm assuming all of those are still handcrafted combinations. I know that's how it worked in the past.
Not all of them were actually. Okay. Well, they weren't truly handcrafted. Some were. They had ways to basically generate them from sort of like template. They, in a sense, they were almost kind of rigged for auto generation. So they had a little bit of automation, but a lot of them were also very specifically handcrafted.
Well, that's a thing. And they also showed off the ability to pair two Bluetooth headphones to your device for, if you're with a friend, you want to listen to the same thing, you can just pair both of them to your device. I know this has been a thing on Samsung devices for a long time, I think. But Google was showing off their implementation. And, back in my day, we just had the audio splitter thing, except, those were like not active. So it just kind of split the left and right channel. So like both people had kind of a fucked up audio, but it was fine. And then
I love that that's your version of back in the day, because my back in the day was two people would just both have like wired earbuds. One would stick one in one ear, the other person would use one in the other ear, and
that's the other version.
Yeah, nobody bought splitters.
I think my splitter is like over here somewhere, but yeah, that was ultimate 2006 car ride experience for sure.
Absolutely.
And then they updated the quick share, so you can instantly toggle between sending and receiving, preview the photos you're sharing, and open receive files right away. So quick share is their airdrop thing, if you're not familiar with that. I think it was Samsung that had a different name for theirs, and then they renamed theirs to quick share, and they're the same thing now. So yeah, not confusing.
Yeah,
and that's all the Android updates. Just a couple small things.
Yeah, it's I mean, ironically, it's kind of a more interesting interesting release than their Pixel drop. But hey, that's fine. Good. All of Android just improved today. Or, well, yes, today. Wow, that actually was today. But things that are staying the same, funny enough, Google's ownership of Chrome and Android. They're staying with Big Papi.
Yeah. This was, this is the thing we talked about for months as it went on and on. That started with a investigation into Google being a monopoly because they own the world's most popular web browser and the world's most popular search engine and the world's most popular mobile operating system and the most popular ads platform for digital media. So that seems a little anti-competitive. So the U.S. government was like, maybe we should look into this. And they did, and we got a lot of good, juicy info in the discovery phase. And I forget exactly when, but sometime last year, the case concluded, and the judge did rule that Google was a monopoly, and there would have to be some kind of corrective action. And the DOJ submitted its proposal, which involved potentially forcing Google to sell off Chrome or some other similarly disruptive move for Google to break it, basically just breaking it up. And the federal judge overseeing the case, U.S. District Judge Amit Mehta, I'm sure I'm getting that wrong, but they ruled that not much has to change here. I believe they do have to share some website ranking data with competitors and a few other small things. I'm quoting The Hill here. That's the article I pulled up. They said the judge found that the DOJ failed to show its other proposed remedies would be ineffective without forcing Google to sell Chrome and went beyond the conduct it sought to address. He also suggested a breakup would be incredibly messy and highly risky. Meta did decide with the government on some provisions requiring Google to make certain search index and user interaction data and search syndication services available to competitors. And it also mentioned that part of the reason that a more drastic ruling wasn't necessary, their logic was that Google is already seeing increased competition from AI services. So, if your judgment is like Google is anti-competitive and suddenly they have more competition, well, maybe that falls apart a little bit. I would push back against that myself, just that there is obviously a growing population of people that go to ChatGPT first for information instead of Google, in the same way that a lot of people go to like TikTok search instead of Google first. But I don't know. I'm not convinced that's like a sizable impact on Google yet. It's certainly a sizable enough impact for publishers and for Google, just because they went like a decades with no competition, and so when you have like 1% competition, you're flipping out. So I don't know. I'm kind of annoyed at this. I'm gonna be honest. I definitely feel that there wouldn't be a better corporate overlord for Chrome than Google. Like, for all of Google's faults, all the ways they've sort of arguably made Chrome worse or used it to sort of drive the web in the direction that they want, I don't think anyone would be better. And all of the proposed buyers for Chrome, which, granted, all of those offers, like, I'm pretty sure wouldn't have mattered. Like, the judge would have went with some other offer. Like, I don't think Perplexity was ever seriously a contender or anything like that. That was just them, generating buzz. But like I don't think like Microsoft would do a better job, or Oracle, or whoever else has Chrome levels of money, or can get Chrome levels of money. That was what Perplexity was saying. Like, we don't have money, but we can go to, we can go to Wells Fargo down the bank and get you a cashier's check. Um, but I do think that like this is still a monopoly that needed to be addressed somehow. I don't know if that would involve selling off Chrome. Maybe you would have leaned more into the Android side, like Android phones just have to work here like they do in the EU, and maybe they will, because they're going to go back and forth about this, where you just choose a browser when you get your phone, and other moves like that, which, as we've seen in Europe, doesn't do a lot, but like it's something. It would do something. Um, and the thing I keep going back to in my head is like the existence of Chromebooks. Like, we all just kind of through this weird process where they started off as thin clients and then grew into almost full-featured computers. We're at this point where Google sells laptops primarily to the public education system that are locked to a single web browser. And that's like the third most popular like desktop computing platform in the US, behind Windows and Mac. So, and there's endless stories about those computers just kind of turning into bricks because the software becomes useless before the hardware does. So I don't know. I would have liked to see some. That seems pretty easy to fix. Um, I would have liked to see something more than uh, Google has to give OpenAI some of its search indexes. That doesn't really feel like it's solving anything to me, and from the user's perspective.
Okay, I'm going to throw man, I hate saying this, and you're going to hate that I say this. But I'm going to throw the wrench in
Done.
here. What if the DOJ showed up and said our remedy solution is to make Chromium part of infrastructure and to turn it into a US government-led project? They could still basically hand over, let's say, developmental control to Google, but ownership and direction would effectively still belong to the US government. What if they had done that? That way, on the plus side, no skeevy company like Oracle gets it. And it would still have plenty of reason for contribution and investment by companies like Microsoft or Google. They would certainly remain involved. I think that's a given. And let's forego the subject of Firefox obviously losing any chance of still existing after that. We'll continue, or we will bring that up shortly anyway. But also, this is something that, frankly, because I'm sure there's some scheme where profit could be associated to it, I wouldn't be surprised if this is something that Trump would also get behind. Just because it means taking something away from a tech company and giving it to the government, which then they would obviously corrupt. But, yeah, I mean, in theory, that could have been a suggestion, and it's a thing that could have actually happened if the judge felt like that was an appropriate measure. Which I don't think it would have happened even then, because Court of Appeals would have lasted for the next decade, and Google would have eventually fought its way into getting it back. But the possibility is there.
Yeah, again, this is in the same boat as Intel for me. Where like, yeah, under vastly different circumstances, Chrome would be cool as like a independent organization that gets some level of government funding because it is infrastructure,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you need a web browser to use all of those online shopping websites I hear so much about. And especially in like the US and Europe where most of our economy is like entirely, or most of our like GDP is digital stuff, like because we don't make anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of important, but now obviously not a good idea at the moment. But that is kind of the only route I could see Chrome getting where it wouldn't get dramatically worse, but I don't know.
Oh, I think it would get dramatically worse, especially with the current administration calling shots.
Oh yeah, now yes, yeah.
But even under a good administration, or even a good um, foster parent, so to speak, I do wonder, because let's be honest, even with the best of intentions, government has a tendency of well, fucking it up. So
Yeah, and given, especially now, the discourse around uh, United States technology and everything unresolved from everything Snowden leaked like a decade ago, that nothing happened. I'm sure the idea of the U.S. government owning the world's most popular web browser would have a different series of issues. But um, yeah, Hoopy said, I feel like the fact that Google could just fork it also makes the whole discussion around divesting from Google weird. Like, to a huge degree, it's less about the Chrome brand and more about who controls the 500 developers who are making the browser. Yeah, I would assume that if they had to get it sold off, there would be a line somewhere of like, and you can't make a new browser for X number of years. That's usually how this works. But then they probably would like fork it or merge it or do something else, because the US does not have a good track record of long-term enforcement of anti-competitive rulings. We broke up AT&T, and now most of AT&T is back under like 3 companies. And we broke up
actually,
Standard
most
Oil.
of it's back up under 2 companies.
Yeah, and we then before that we broke up Standard Oil, and now those are all Exxon and the other big one, I forget. But again, it's like just they all come back together.
So Chevron.
Yeah.
Or whoever their owner is. Is that BP? Whatever. Anyway, so there is that. Also, I would argue they actually can't have that provision because Google still would have Chrome OS, presumably. Like, you could take Chrome, the browser, away from them, but then Chrome OS is still a thing that they're responsible for making reference platforms. They're still responsible for doing a lot of things to run Chrome OS. Therefore, unless the government is going to try to take over Chrome OS 2, which that's a really big leap, and like there's a good solid argument for why Chromium and Chrome belong under government control in some capacity. But you'd have a really hard time making that argument for Chrome OS and Chromebooks. So I'm okay. Actually, to be fair, you wouldn't have the hardest time because they are used so heavily in education. But it's that's still kind of stepping in and basically saying, we just want to steal part of your business, which is at that point that's just inappropriate. So
it would be all very complicated, and so naturally nothing will happen instead.
Right. And yeah, as far as the resulting ruling, I'm going to describe it the kind of paraphrase from the way that everyone described the porn ruling from like 3 decades ago. Look, a ruling is bad when you see it, even if you can't explain why it's bad. Or if you look at it from the other side, something should be done even if you don't know what it is. But this wasn't it. How much more should have been done? I don't know. And anyone who owns Google stock right now is very happy that no more was done, because oh my god, if anyone's watching what the Google stock has done over the last 2 days, you've made something close to, I think you've made something in the neighborhood of like 20%. I'd have to check again, but it's a lot. Like, if I'd been watching and known that the ruling was coming, I would have probably sold everything just to buy Google stock, because I figured the ruling was going to be good for them. I didn't know it would be this good, but wow. So yeah. Google got a freaking Christmas present. That's, I think, all that can be said here. This was a gift from someone's god.
Yeah, and I don't know. Obviously, like, detangling Chrome and Android and that kind of stuff is difficult. But, like, if that's difficult, then tackle, like, any of the other monopolistic attributes of Google. Like, because Google does all the other big tech things too. Like, again, they have a huge market share of servers. They do the same thing Apple does, where they clone apps that exist and put them in the system and then drive competitors out of business. They own YouTube, which is sort of an economy in itself. I don't know. I'm sitting here on the sidelines and I'm like, why? Do something, please. I feel like something could have been done. Again, Chromebooks. Like, why is Google allowed to still make laptops that are locked to one web browser? And they're not even like thin clients anymore. They're just like normal laptops that are weird in that one specific way. But whatever.
I would argue they're weird in a lot more than that one way, but that's a separate discussion we've had several times. And yeah, I get what you're saying. The thing is, and I have to, in a way, I think I have to give credit to Google for this, but unlike Microsoft, where when Microsoft went through this, people are pointing at different things Microsoft was doing and saying, they're doing a lot of monopoly stuff here. Can't you do something about some of it? And in the case of Microsoft, like, everything you could point to that was monopolistic, for the most part, Microsoft would stand there and say, oh no, we swear it's all tied together. Don't you see? Like, the browser's part of the OS. We could never separate them anymore. Like, they're too integrated. That was never true. Like, it would have taken maybe a few months to unhook stuff, and maybe you just make like some sort of shared license situation so they can use some of the same stuff. But whatever, like, that's a solvable problem. Google has integrated so many things that outside of YouTube itself, it's hard to find where they would actually split some of these things, especially because some of the things don't have a viable business model without other parts of the company that can't be taken away. So Google has done a spectacular job of hooking everything together in a way that's just never going to be easily broken up. Which I'm not happy about necessarily, but at the same time, I've said this before, sometimes you just need a big company to do big things. And I'm not sure that breaking up Google necessarily is the best total outcome. Now, it's bad in various ways if Google gets to maintain monopolies, but if it's regulated correctly, it doesn't have to shut out other or it doesn't have to mean total domination of industries. It probably means that, but it doesn't have to. So, maybe that, I think, is a better remedy than just letting them off completely. Find other more clever ways, like forcibly open up data to competitors, which I know is a little unfair in some weird ways, but given how Google came about a lot of that data, I don't know. Maybe it is kind of fair. Maybe solutions should be considered where, like, things like map data or just maps as a whole should maybe be opened up so that there's a plugin system where other companies can become part of that ecosystem and benefit from it without necessarily having to send cars out to drive every street, or I don't know, things like that. There have to be other more clever ways to force fair play.
Yeah. And I did want to address one bit that is getting misinformationed quite a bit. One of the sticking points leading up to this ruling was whether or not Mozilla would be killed off, because Mozilla, through virtue of just being mismanaged to hell and back for 20 years, has yet to create a functioning revenue stream that is not payments from Google to be the default search engine in Firefox. And they went to the court and they were like, please do not block Google from making those deals, or else we will not exist anymore and we are the competition, which is true. Firefox has one of the last 3 mainstream web rendering engines. There's Chromium, which Google owns, WebKit, which Apple primarily owns and develops, and then Gecko and Firefox. There might be something else I'm forgetting, but it's basically just them. So they went to the court and they were like, please don't do anything that harms us, pretty please. And so after this ruling came out, there were a lot of people who did not read the decision or any of the articles, and they thought that this killed Mozilla, that they did rule against the deal. I don't know if Mozilla has put out like a full blog post about this yet, but their CEO did do a LinkedIn post where I'll just read this. This is from Laura Chambers, who is the current CEO of Mozilla Corporation. She said, today, the U.S. Department of Justice issued its ruling in the landmark Google search case. We're currently reviewing the judgment in detail, but it's encouraging to see the court recognize the risk of unintended consequences when trying to improve search competition, and not just for browsers like Firefox, but for the future of the open web. As this case continues to unfold, one thing won't change: Mozilla's commitment to an internet that's open, accessible, and built for the public good. So Mozilla hasn't found anything to panic about yet, and this case will go through appeals for years anyway. So don't panic. Mozilla's still gonna be Mozilla.
Yep, Firefox is gonna keep Firefoxing. So yeah, that's, I obviously, like, yay. I don't want to see Firefox go anywhere. And I'm still a little skeptical about maybe the interpretations of the ruling. Because if you start getting nitpicky about the wording, it could be argued that maybe the language is not favoring Mozilla here, but I think they're safe. And even if they're not, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if a future judge would rule in their favor regardless. Even so, yeah. And by the way, the specific phrasing that, if you go reading into this, it basically says that Google is not allowed to make any search exclusivity deals. And when it comes to search exclusivity, Firefox doesn't have Google as the exclusive search, but rather it is the default search. And is effectively the presumption is default is okay, but if the binaries only supported, like out of the box only supported Google search, then that would be breaking the ruling. And Corbin, maybe you can think of an example of this, but as far as I know, the only thing that may or may not constitute an exclusive search situation is maybe like some Android phones that might only have Google search widgets on the board, something like that. I can't think of any other scenario where anyone ships exclusive.
Yeah, I would assume that they're mostly talking about like I know this was a thing with that the EU and I think Russia made Google change where there were certain search widgets in Android or sections in the Chrome browser that would only work for Google. Like there was like a Google search widget and it would always be Google search, and that got changed in some regions to be whatever the default search is set to in Chrome. So I would assume it's stuff like that, where just like there's some connected Google interface that you're using, and through that interface, the only option is searching with Google. But yeah, I've not had time to read the whole thing either.
Well, let's be honest, none of us are going to read the whole thing because boring. But yeah, the specific passage I think hits the core of it, which is just no exclusive search deals. And yeah, again, I think almost everything out there, I'm pretty sure, is more or less focused on just default as opposed to exclusive. So this ruling is probably even more toothless than it seems. Which, again, we could probably pick at that for a little bit, but I don't know. At this stage, I'm not really even worrying about that. I think this basically just gave Google a full win, hands down.
Yeah, probably. I just wanted to mention that Firefox thing though, because I did see some social media posts making the rounds saying Mozilla was dead. Not the case, not yet. They'll, if they die, it's for reasons unrelated to this.
If anything, I could imagine. If anything, I wonder if Google probably went to Mozilla and said, "Listen, we'll up your pay if you make a good, compelling argument to the judge." Like at this point, there probably had to be that whole, look, there's a reason we're paying for you to be our competition, and this is that moment. So, like, put on your shoes, put on a belt, dress, brush your hair, and make a good appearance.
So yeah, that's the nothing burger ruling.
Yep, pretty much.
Fun times for all.
Oh yeah, Hoopy, you bring up there's one or two that are based on Rust that are kind of in the up and coming stages. So yeah, it's not that there aren't any other engines, it's just they have a ways to go.
Yeah.
And ways to go is like probably to the tune of like a couple years at minimum. And that's just to be competitive. In the meantime, let's be honest, Chrome and Chromium are going to gain even more features and more advancements, some of which are going to be, I'm sure, increasingly more difficult to support. And who knows where that stuff is going to go when the Rust browsers or Rust engines attempt to re-implement some of that stuff, especially since a lot of it seems to be going into the AI territory, which Yeah, complications. So, yeah, we'll see. As with all of these things, a lot of we'll sees are going to be coming out.
Yeah, I'm bummed though. I wanted to see some blood.
Corbin looking forward to the courtrooms becoming the Roman Empire again.
Yeah, I mean, fucking split Google like the Roman Empire.
I
All
was
right,
I was thinking more like Roman Colosseum, but
right.
okay.
Or
You
Roman Senate. We're all gonna. There's gonna be some stabbing involved.
um, wow, Corbin is going for some full murder stuff here. But okay. Good to know where
I
your
was,
head's at.
I mean, I was thinking like courtroom, and you said Roman, and I'm like, that's kind of like the Julius Caesar incident in the Senate, Roman Senate. I
Mm-hmm.
think I'm not that good on ancient history. I'm sorry. So yeah, I do think it'd be funny to for Google to have a schism and split into two Roman empires. There's the Catholic Google and the
Oh crap.
well, I guess they were both Catholic, right? So um or it was Catholic and Orthodox, but whatever. Anyway. Yeah, so that's the Google thing, and we're out of topics, I believe. I did look around. I didn't really see anything else I cared all that much about. It's been kind of a slow week because IFA I think is officially next week, but a lot of the stuff has bled into this week just because everyone's doing the thing where they need to be first, and it kind of pushes back the announcements earlier and earlier, like Black Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So there's already been some IFA stuff so far, but it's entirely stuff I do not care about. So, but yeah, get ready for a lot of computer stuff, a lot of mobile stuff, accessories, audio, all that fun stuff. But not necessarily fun to discuss. There's only so much you can say about a pair of headphones that is almost identical to the 5 million other pairs of headphones.
It's not that there's a lot to say or tell, but it is kind of funny you mention that because JBL just today and either yesterday or tomorrow. I will not be breaking any embargoes. It's okay that I'm saying at least that much. But yeah, they just announced some new speakers, which it's like you guys could have waited till IFA. Nah, why bother? Just announce them now. You'll get more coverage. So yeah, it's kind of the situation. That being said, if you're looking for some good speakers, JBL did just announce some new stuff, and it all looks really good. I don't have a lot to say about it right now, though. If certain things play out a certain way, I'll have more to say on that in the future. I might still be talking, or I might do something with them later. Long explanation. We'll get to that someday. Um, Otherwise, yes, that pretty much wraps up the topics for the week. Let's see. Corbin, we already pitched Techathon, so to everyone, obviously, come by on September 27th. Is that the right day?
Yes.
Okay. Come by September 27th
Yes.
to catch that. Yeah, thank you for double checking because I'm definitely just calling it out now. And let's see. Is there anything else you'd like to pitch, promote, or talk about?
Nope. Just Techathon. Please go subscribe and watch it on the day and share it on social media and tell your friends to watch it. Um, Definitely running into the thing where as we have fewer people and as the hack cluster of social media is now far more spread apart than it was it is going to be difficult to just get people to show up, just to watch. It's just harder now. So anything you can do to shared places or watch is appreciated, because even if you can't donate when we do the stream, just getting a lot of viewers helps, because then Twitch thinks we're cool and they'll show it to more people, which means more views, and then it's kind of a compounding effect that I'm hoping will happen. And then we raise a lot of money, which is cool. So hopefully that works out. Indeed. And yeah, that's the link in the chat. The website has a link to the Twitch channel, so if you follow that with your Twitch account, I'm assuming you get an email when we go live, or if you have the app, it's like a push notification. You can make sure all that's turned on, or just set a reminder to visit the website, because you can just watch it through there too.
And of course, we will be mentioning it again every week on the RambleCast, up to basically up to the show right before the event. So yeah,
because it's on a Saturday.
Yep, we will keep reminding you. And on that note, I don't remember what my schedule is, but there's a fair chance that I'll probably be game streaming earlier in that day and then stopping my stream. I believe I stopped my stream early so that I can then go on Techathon. And then I'll be taking, assuming the schedule stays this way, I'll be taking a 1 hour lunch break and then coming back on Techathon for more. So,
yeah, the schedule I think is pretty much done. I don't think anything's going to be moved around. There's just like one thing that might turn into another discussion or Overwatch block. That's the only thing in the balance right now.
And that,
the group activities, basically, if we don't get enough group for the group activities, it's just going to be discussion or Overwatch, because discussion only needs one other person besides me to be there, and Overwatch doesn't require anyone. If everyone just couldn't make it for that time, that's fine. I'm going to solo queue, and my screen will look exactly the same as if I was playing with other people. So it's totally fine.
I'll come and join you. It'll work.
I just have to remember to talk. Because if I'm playing alone, then I completely forget that I'm supposed to be making noise. It's gonna be dead silence while I'm dying repeatedly on a live stream.
Okay, then I'm definitely gonna have to join you, because
okay.
I'm not great at it or anything, but I've been getting better at talking while I stream.
Austin said, I wonder how hard it'd be for dbrand or a case company to giveaway. So fun fact, someone did actually reach out to dbrand for the very first Techathon, back in 2020, back when we had more people participating with poll, and they did not want to. So that was the end of that.
Yeah, I don't know how much they tend to sponsor. I don't really follow them enough to know, but
yeah, I think this is just kind of what it's evolved into, where the past few Techathons, they're not really I think if there was a website or a big publisher behind this, it would be easier to get some kind of sponsor deal or placement somewhere. But it's literally just us as individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Doing this. So because I personally, as Corbin, do not have pull with dbrand, it's not happening. But if we were a bigger website doing this as a website, as a group, I'm sure it would be pretty easy. But yeah, no, it's just us. It's just the anarchy operation, and we're all gonna try our best and hopefully raise some money.
Indeed. So, yeah, that's I think that about covers that part. As for me, my quick spiel as usual, I will be gaming this weekend as usual. Should be a typical Saturday Sunday type of thing. Nothing too outside of the norm. And of course, we will be back next week for some more RambleCast goodness, where we will be talking about the Apple event that happened the day before. And we will have all the thoughts about all the things that they announced, which will probably be us complaining a whole lot about the event, just like we did for the Made by Google event. I hate pre-predicting that we're just going to poop on something, but man, if there was ever a year where I am just not expecting a lot out of an Apple event, it's this one. Sorry, yeah. It just very little expectation for that one.
Yeah, I'm hoping I'll be there. I'm not 100% sure yet. My schedule's still turbo fucked, so we'll find out.
Yeah, and if not, well, I will cover the airways for you, and I'll try to actually come up with more news segments than 3, because that feels like my weak point on those. Still, I need something that at least goes for a little, like 2 minutes straight instead of a minute. But hey, whatever, it works. It's fun. Anyway, with that, I believe we've said everything. So, Corbin, unless you want to hop in with any last words.
Nope.
All right. Then thank you all for coming by, hanging out, and being part of the conversation. If you've enjoyed the stream and would like to support the channel, there are links down below to wow, I just hit a roadblock for a second. Links down below to Cash App, Streamlabs, and Patreon. And of course, massive thanks to supporters of the channel, Carson, Austin, David, Diablo, and Alyssa. Y'all are awesome. And again, just thanks to everyone who comes by, hangs out in the stream. You're always awesome to have around. And with that, I will see you all in the next one. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.